Department of Education is a relatively new department. This PowerPoint presentation is in 2 parts, US and AZ. This is the US Department of Education and its early history, an introduction. Whenever a group wants to establish itself, especially no previous system of educational organization, it will prime its people with some basic laws, often religious in nature, and then branch out from there into a formal educational format. I will use the system that I know best to develop this concept. The early Hebrew. The early Hebrew nation was tribal in nature, patriarchal in operation, and having Abraham as the first, the founder or progenitor of a soon-to-be people and nation. He was instructed to leave his familiar surroundings and remove himself to a place where he knew no one, whereby he had to rely solely on the teachings of I Am. This is a critical step and a stage in learning this isolation, this quiet, this solitude. So he alone was instructed, and he in turn had to instruct, and the subsequent generations had the same requirements and obligations. Education of a higher sort requires alienation from the form of the norm, or how things are, or how people will say, oh, this is the way we do it. This is how it's always been done. Those holes have to be done away with so that the new can emerge. Now, education in the colonies was nearly non-existent with the 13th originals. The sole exception being Massachusetts. And yes, I love the fact that's my home state, and that the state thought dearly enough about education. Education was especially important in the New England colonies. The first public schools in the colonies started there. In 1647, Massachusetts passed a law requiring all towns, 50 or more families, hire a teacher, instruct the children, teach them how to read or to write. Parents were encouraged to contribute to the school in the form of money or goods. Schools were one-room schoolhouses on land that was what? Generally donated. Most schools had one book, the New England Primer, and that was used to teach the alphabets, syllables, and prayer. Outside of New England, there was no public education in the colonies. There were religious schools. Wealthy individuals hired tutors for their children. Well, in 1636, Harvard University was founded as a place to train ministers. It was the only college in the colonies for 50 years until the College of William and Mary was founded in Virginia. Slide 2, Table of Contents. Overview of the United States Department of Education, Slide 3. Its mission statement, Slide 4. Organizational structure and departments, 5 to 7. Operational scope, 8 to 14. Motivations through its mission, Slide 15. Strategies, 16 through 18. Statistics and trends, 19 through 20. Spotlight departments, 21 to 22. Digital education, 23-24. Overview. Becoming the United States Department of Education. The United States Department of Education, and this is the organization of it. This is organizing the Department of Education, housing the Department of Education. I call it intranational because that's what it is. It is within the states. The Secretary of Education is a cabinet position that is appointed by the President. The first being President Carter, who is recognized as the creator of the Department of Education, whose design came from a campaign promise made to the National Educators Agency, NEA. The duty of the Secretary is to promote the goals and objectives of the department. This is done on a public level to get us to understand its purpose, its programs, its mission, and its activities. Now, the first appointee was a female of the United States in 1979 to 1981, Shirley Hofstadler. She's the first education secretary. She served under President Jimmy Carter. Now, Hofstadler was a judge in California, a federal appeals court judge. And she served in this position until 1981. When she leaves the department, she begins to go back into private law, practicing and teaching. She had a love for the courts, and she joined the law firm of Morrison and Foerster in Los Angeles. And sadly to say, on the 30th of March in 2016, she passed away. The organizational chart of the Department of Ed, Secretary and Staff. The departments of the Department of Education, this is slide 6. The Office of the Deputy Secretary and the Undersecretary. The Office of the General Counsel. The Office for Civil Rights. The Office of Legislation and Congressional Affairs. The Office of Communications and Outreach. The Office of Planning, Evaluation, and Policy Development. The Office of Management, the Office of the Chief Financial Officer, and the Office of Finance and Operations. The Risk Management Services Office. The Office of the Chief Information Officer. The Office of White House Initiatives. They number 4 plus 1 additional. Below or above the organizational chart of the Secretary. The initiatives fall under the direct leadership of Secretary Cardona. These work for the overlooked segment of our country and our people. Please follow with me. We start with the White House Initiative on Historically Black Colleges and Universities, HBCU. This is slide 7. And next, the White House Initiative for advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Black Americans. The White House Initiative on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity for Native Americans and strengthening tribal colleges and universities. The next initiative is the White House Initiative on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity for Hispanic Americans. And following, the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. The Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. You'll see my book. That's why my book is there. It's about faith-based initiatives and charter schools. Well, there's more coming up about this Office of Educational Technology. I love it. So we're going to consider talking about education for all, equity, and excellency. And we start with the Virginia and controversy. Now, the title of this is intranational because it's pertaining to within the United States of America. We start with Virginia's Moton High School. Today, Robert Russa Moton High School is a museum. However, in 1951, it was a center of contention. This is the same year that Topeka, Kansas brings the Brown family forward. The Brown family was moved to go to court to contest that the school their daughter was supposed to attend was in no wise equal, separate and equal to the white schools. Moton's white students were moved to another school, and the black students remained behind. So, they decided to strike against the conditions at their school. Later, they took their argument to court. Barbara Rose Johns initiated the strike. However, when the court docket was created, it listed another student first. And this is how this becomes Dorothy Davis, and the case becomes known as Davis v. County School Board of Prince Edward County. This is Virginia. Moton was like so many other schools across the nation, who at this time was in painful grip of experiencing segregation, and joined by two opposing mindsets. Mindset one. Mindset one does not want to share their lifestyle, its security of population sameness, and its marvelous class privilege Okay, so that's selfish. The second mindset does not want much. It just wants decent living conditions. They just want safety in all its forms. And they just desire an equal pairing of common benefits. They just want to live. The privileged were and are almost always in the state of human mindless denial. So the schools of Virginia were segregated in 1951. Moulton was typical, and the new kids in the school, the typically all black schools in the country, the school was built in 1939 to hold half as many students as it did by the early 1950s. Its teachers were paid substantially less, and that's across the board USA, than the nearby students at the white schools, their teachers. The school had no gymnasium, no cafeteria or auditorium, and they didn't have fixed seats like at Farmville and Warsham High, which for white students. So universally, white folk believe that if they close their eyes and if they drive home obliviously, as if with blinders on, in a state of blindness, they will never have to see, witness, address the racial divide that exists right there in front of them in their communities. And they won't have to witness someone else's inequities. About this, again, education for all, equity and excellence, the Office of Planning, Evaluation and Policy Development, the Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, the Institute of Education Sciences, the Office of Innovation and Improvement. Talking about how this will look in our very near future. Yes, education for all and the initiatives at work. Equity and excellence playing out in a big way. So let's consider talking about your views on initiatives. Education for all. In your view, in your viewpoint, what does it look like? Equity and excellency. The initiatives. How do they work in your school? This is the Department of Ed and the Office of Ed Tech. I'm so impressed. I love this. talking about education for all, equity and excellence. These are the departments of the Deputy Secretary of Education. I want to consider talking about what does the Undersecretary do? Education for all, financing education, equity and excellence, adult career, technical and vocational education. Motivations through mission. Motivating. Our mission as a Department of Ed is to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. And I remind them this is not a homogeneous society, therefore, we have to do more to make sure inclusion is included. It is a barrier to education. We're going to consider talking about this, the evidence-based education. There's a table on readiness of COVID-19. The national on this is in Washington, D.C. And here is their information. The U.S. Department of Ed has an educational stabilization fund and transparency portal. Their strategies: statistics and trends. Institute of Educational Sciences, NCES, is on statistics and education, and IDEA, individuals, disabilities, education, Act. All right. Okay. So this is where we get the date 1867, which occurs during the time right after Lincoln freed the slaves in 65. Johnson is now in place, and he sets up a Department of Education. He goes defunct in a year. However, the NCES gives their origination and origin start point at this time. Department of Ed, we don't recognize it as the start time. It didn't last. Digital age in education. This is where we are, and where we're headed will depend on us. The Office of Educational Technology. I am so into this. This is so good. I love technology, and I love where we're headed. The moral compass is going to be on us. We will have to decide how much and when to stop. This is concerned with digital equity and artificial intelligence. It's understanding that there is a divide in the tools that the school children are able to use. There has to be excellence, looking at education, facing forward, digital equity, the future of teaching and defining learning, artificial intelligence, and the teachers, teaching them how to teach in a digital learning environment. The path to digital equity, we need to address the future of the digital divide with solutions. photograph intrigues me so. Digital education, web-based, distance learning. Look at the engagement of these students, these children. We have to monitor them while they're in their educational format. Moving into references, let's continue. Here are the references. I will allow you to read them on your own. Your attention has been much appreciated. References continue. And more references. I don't want to rush your eyes. I want you to have the opportunity to see. More sources for you. And yes, I thank you. I thank you for your wonderful and most beautiful attention. My contact information is listed. I am Cecilia R. Eaves-Walker, and